Good evening, everyone. I'm Colin Mayfield. Jeb Goldman is here on WCNC Plus inside the live Impact studio here for the next 2 hours until 9 o'clock. We have a slew of things that we are following at this hour on this Thursday night. We've been talking a lot about obviously certain services in terms of rail lines. The Red Line commuter rail has been a hot topic, especially in Matthews, where city leaders feel like they have been left behind. So there's a heated discussion right now that Charlotte City Council is debating at this moment. So let's listen in and see what they have to say about transit here in Charlotte.
At work, I know at the airport, some positions you have to be there at 5:30 because planes are right there waiting at 5:30. And if the buses can, leave out probably 4:30.
You are talking about what we want to accomplish and do. We want to have people that are in the hospitality industry to have the ability to get to work and to be able to go. And mornings, all of that. So I think that when we're thinking through what we're trying to accomplish with Better Buses is to really ask people that are needing the service to be a part of what we can do. And that's what I think is, Mark Durrell just said, we have to pull this together, all of us at one time. But without the funding, we don't have anything to pull, honestly. And so when we, even if you look at what we're doing, if we have funding for these kinds of changes, that's going to help us as we start talking about other opportunities like affordable housing, more opportunities for our young people to be a part of our community. So these are the things that we believe are inherent in this bus system and the methodology that we have for funding it. So we're putting in, I guess, all in, but it's really requiring all of us to work together, and you're the exact example of what we want to do and see.
Okay, thank
Someone
you,
that
Mayor. We're
helps
going to
us.
work together, and we're going to try to keep it
Make
moving.
sure all the panelists get to ask the question. And
So
if you want that one-on-one conversation, you can have that at the adjournment. Because this is a very complicated but important topic, and we want to make certain that every panelist has an opportunity to speak. And if there is sidebars that need to be done, we welcome it after the conclusion of the event.
So I'd like to respond. So I agree with what the mayor said and what Mark said in particular, that it's simple because I'm not in any elected position. I don't know all these advanced data in detail, but I can tell you what happens every day with my life in my neighborhood, our area of town. All of Northwest Charlotte is excluded from rail. So rail brings opportunity for growth, jobs, restaurants, grocery stores, all the quality of life amenities everybody wants. So it is great that the bus and microtransit will get us to these other areas quickly, but that takes up our time. That compromises our quality of life. So the discussion, I think, is really about how are the economic benefits spread around. Maybe rail won't go everywhere, but there are other things we can do to help these areas grow. And so that's what I would like to see happen. I want to be part of this. It's kind of puzzling for me to think about this bill gets passed in June and revoked in November, and in the meantime, we're supposed to figure stuff out. We don't really know who makes all the decisions about how the money is spread around, but I would love to work to try to get all those answers.
This 1 cent sales tax is estimated to generate more than $19 billion over 30 years on roads, rails, and buses. The question is, can we tax our way out of making transportation better? And then what happens with inflation? What happens if that $19 billion is not enough? Where do we go from there? Anybody?
Okay. Well, I mean, it is a tax. It is going to be a tax that we're going to have on, because it is sales tax. I'm sorry. It is a sales tax. And that means everybody that buys something, but not everything, because I think that we've had some conversations about, that it is really not going to be on food, it's not going to be on housing, it's not going to be on medicine, it's not on medical services, it's not on electricity, it's not on gas or telephones. So that while you're buying something, generally it's going to be something that we're going to be able to use. Otherwise, you will have a pay of a penny sales tax. But in addition to that, almost 300 people come into the city on a daily basis, and they will be paying for the tax that they use, that they don't really have a stake in this, because they're just coming in, tourism, coming into work, and they will have the opportunity to help us carry that amount of funding all the way through. So when you say the tax, yes, it is a tax. And it is something that's really the way that we found is the most appropriate tax to have something like this development occur.
Anybody else would like to, can we tax our way out of this?
I don't know. I'm not in office, but I would think that it's important that we have some definition between the funding for rail and buses, because if you say rail costs might run up, and there's a defined amount that will be shared between the two under the Coughlin bill, that perhaps would reduce buses. So I think it's very critical that we have some delineation there. I know Raleigh controls that, but I think we all share that same goal.
So Derek, let's be clear when we talk about can we tax our way out of it. We can't tax our way out of any situation. Right now, this community is dealing with affordable housing, we're dealing with homelessness, we're dealing with so many issues, transit just being one, transportation being another one of those things. No, we can't tax our way out of any situation. We are at the mercy of economic forces that we don't control at the local level as well. So, so that's a direct answer to your question, but it is a mechanism, taxing is a mechanism that is used to fund services. And this is a mechanism. Now, we have to be careful and make sure guardrails are in place so that we are not being counterproductive. We should not be trying to hurt those that, could least afford it. We have to provide opportunities. Bobby, I think you are spot on when you talk about and raise the issues that you're raising with respect to how do we address economic opportunity? How do we address those things, transit-oriented development that you spoke about? How do we make sure it's equitable throughout all corridors of our community? I think those are fair items for us to discuss and for us to solve to. And so we just need to move forward with that. But to your point, Mr. Moderator, no, we cannot tax our way out of it, but it is a mechanism that we are going to have to use, at least as a short-term approach, until there are other approaches available.
Let me also add that it's not new, because I served for quite a while, a couple of decades in the General Assembly, and I noticed that cities would put what they call the 1 cent sales tax. Well, I had one city, I think it might have been Fayetteville, they only taxed it was a hotel tax. So it was just the folks who came into the town, stayed at the hotels and so forth, and they were taxed. But no, you're not going to tax the way out of everything. I don't think that's possible. I think what could be possible, though, is to maybe have some discussions with Trish Coughlin and the General Assembly about what kinds of, let's say, guardrails or some specificity about what some of the things that are coming up here, so that you can give people some sense of security that, okay, we're gonna vote. We know we need this. Charlotte is really growing and it's growing and it's growing. And yes, as Commissioner has said, we have a lot of issues that we have to address. But I think to give people some sense of comfort, if they have a sense of knowing with the 60%, whatever they got there, what's really going to be accomplished there? And I think that might help relieve some of the tension.
Yeah, because when you look at some other jurisdictions have done this, and
Oh, yeah.
they have done this, and some have said that there's a shortfall, and then there are layoffs and things like that. So just want to know, talk to me about how you have done your research to how other cities have handled this, the pitfalls, and what you can do to make sure you don't fall in that pitfall or go off the tracks.
Everybody
Well, it's too bad we don't have we probably should have had a member of the General Assembly. You know, we got local government, we've got, well, actually, two from local government, we got the county and the city, and we got federal government. We skipped over the people that put this together. We probably could ask them, but you might want to, you know, we should have maybe a conversation with them so
That's
that.
part two.
If it- yeah, okay, that's part two.
And Congresswoman, you bring up a good point. So in this, are we working in silos, or is our city and county government, are we working with our Mecklenburg delegation to make sure that our cries that are happening here at Weeping Willow would make it to Raleigh?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I can't imagine that if they've been working, the mayor said they've been working on this for a long time. I expect that all those entities have been engaged in some way. I'm fairly certain of that.
Yes, you can be very certain of that, Madam Congresswoman. This is a regional effort. I'm sorry. This is a regional effort. I mean, it's not just Charlotte, it's Huntersville, it's Cornelius, it's all of these other communities that are working through this with us. And this tax is a countywide tax, not a Charlotte tax, a countywide tax. And that's why there are more opportunities. It was divided up in a way that we do roads, that we make sure that our roads continue to be well done, but we're also dividing it in a way that we have the opportunities for differences. So you asked the question, Dedrick, about have we looked at other places? So we went to Austin, Texas, and they had a huge program. The problem that they had is that they had no money for the program. They had a great plan, but no money. What we've tried to do in our, I guess what I would say, the things that make Charlotte really, really works, or our region to really work, is that we wanted to have something that was fundable and possible. We were not going to do what Tennessee did. We're not going to do what we saw in other cities where they started piecemealing this. We believe that the efforts to have it done well and consistently with every part of our county, that would work best for us.
I would like to say this. I've been to a lot of different cities, and so have you all, and you all probably. And we all can agree Charlotte is a different city. It's hard to compare it to any other city. And I know it's regional, and we have some good people that are in these regional places. I think we need to just kind of like, you know, give them a little boost and you know, come to a table and kind of start speeding things up, because it's imperative that we get the ball rolling instead of, you know, coming back again and saying, oh, in 30 years, I hope it will all be here in 30 years, but we need it now. And, you know, I just want to say that the way Charlotte is growing at an alarming rate, it definitely was incorporated in the growth process. And so I think the focus needs to be taken a little bit more serious.
Come on, bro. But I love y'all.
Cracking down on people that are in these offices that have been looking at and studying these programs for 20, 30 years ago. And I think that's where we at this point. We're at a breaking point.
I believe that
Oh,
we could.
That's, Mr. Draper.
Drake, Bob, you was gonna go,
Bobby.
and then I'll go.
It's been a short period in the House. It's honored to serve the remainder of Representative Kell Alexander's term. And I found just briefly that I think that local delegation and our elected bodies are working well together. Of course, they don't make the decision. I think there is a lot of mutual respect in that regard. So I think they do a lot of work. The mayor does in particular. You know, when you think about kind of the working together or representation, I think some of this lies on citizens as well, because there are a couple of bodies that make decisions about transit. There are 2 committees currently. I think there'll be a new one that will be created. The current 2 committees, everybody but one person lives on the east side of 77. So folks on the west side need to get engaged and seek appointments so we could be part of this process. I mean, it's, to me, there's a high correlation between where the representatives reside, based on their zip codes, and where the more intense investment's going, like rail. So I think we as citizens need to say, we must be part of this. You know, we can't have a decision-making body in control of $25 billion and part of the county's not on it. So we need to own that as citizens. We must come to folks like the mayor and the county commission chair, who I'm sure will appoint folks from those areas, and be part of this and be informed and be knowledgeable. So there are kind of many facets to this discussion, but the citizens own part of it, and we need to do better in West Charlotte, because otherwise it is what it is.
Thank
So
you.
Dedrick, I would just add one thing.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Talk
So
to the
just
mic
with
so they can hear you in the back.
respect to the due diligence that's being done, to the mayor's point, many of us traveled to Austin, Texas. Also, there was a contingent that went to Miami to look at their system. Also, some of us received a briefing about Richmond, Virginia, and their BRT system. Staff has provided certain comparative data as well for us to look at. So we're not always just boots on the ground, but we are able to access data and to be able to review that and look at the things that we want to do better here.
Thank you. So we're going to open up to questions. If you have a question, our
You can
students will
raise
go
your
around
hand
and we
so
will
the
do that.
Gentlemen can make sure they give you an index card and take.
Okay. This first question, I guess who is responsible for this? Can the bill be written in a concise manner? Because they fear there is just too much to read, and as soon as people see bond and taxes will be raised, they mark no. So is there anyone on there who can answer that question? What is this question? They said that can the bills be written in a concise manner? Because sometimes the question can be too wordy, and if it's too wordy, that just might be a turnoff to some voters. Who is responsible for writing up that question?
Yes, I can give you.
Number one, I know
Let's everybody give her attention.
vote. When we get to the end of here and we see this much writing, and we see bond, and we see money, people mark no. Right? So it is clear, it states exactly what you want without being so blasted long, so that people can say, hey, yes, this is a good move.
Right. So is that a state, is that a General Assembly job? That's a job of the General Assembly?
That's the General Assembly,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, then we have to take that up with the General Assembly.
We don't have control.
The next,
But given that they're working with the General Assembly, Mayor Lyles, you spoke to the fact that
Thanks.
you all are working in concert, working closely with the General Assembly to ensure that the language is as simple as it possibly can, so people will know what they're voting for or voting against.
I still say that language is with the General Assembly, and it's going to be how our We know
Could you
how
use the mic, Mayor?
elections are done in our city, and, okay, sorry.
It's in the bill.
It's in the bill, what we're doing, and so, I'm sorry.
It's 2 sentences.
It's 2 sentences of what we're doing, and it's in the bill. So I think it's pretty simple, but I think that I understand what you're saying. It is going to be at the end of the ballot, and that's always been the way, I don't know the tradition or how it happened, but that's exactly where it lands.
Yeah, that's voter information. We
I
got to
don't-
get all of that voter information out.
Right.
The next question, can you guarantee that transit is inclusive to the more crescent areas? We need more stops from bus, trains, and red line. Can you guarantee that transit will be inclusive to the more crescent areas?
Take that.
I want to say thank you for that question, because I believe we have a document that shows a book that talks about how we will use this money in our city. And I don't know whether the staff has a number of those books, but that is something that this council has really dived deeply to improve and make sure that we're doing this so that everyone has an opportunity to thrive. And we are committed to how we're going to do this work.
And so, whoever wrote that question, I'm really glad you wrote that question, because I will tell you this, we've got to prioritize needs over wants. There is a whole host of people in our community who have a tremendous amount of needs to be able to move across this community, and most of those folks lie in the crescent. We all know that. And so as electeds, this is where you have to hold us accountable to make sure that we are laser focused on those folks who need it the most, not people that just want to take a ride or just want it. It's for people who need it. And so thank you for that question, and that's where you hold us accountable.
Yeah. We'll do this last question, and then we can break up. If your question has not been asked, we can break up, and then you can go to the person to ask your question.
They're going to come to you.
So this is a regional transit system, 7 surrounding jurisdictions in Mecklenburg County. Are these jurisdictions, are all of them supporting this tax increase?
That's a great question again, because last night what we have is a transit management organization that covers every part of Mecklenburg County. And just last night, we had the meeting, and it was where all of us committed, with the exception of Matthews, to be able to implement this plan across our region and with everyone being a part of it. Now, what it means is that once we get through those areas, that when we continue to look, where do we go next? So I think our farthest stop is at Bojangles Arena. But what we're trying to make sure that we do is to have these stops that are defined by workforce, by where people live and by where they work. And so we're making these connections, and that's one of the things that when we talked about how do we make sure that we have the opportunity, we need this value, this conversation from you to say, this is what we will do and we will commit to it.
Yeah. Thank you. I just have one question for the Congresswoman. It could be real quick. Congress can't allocate federal funding for projects, so what can the constituents depend on you when you go back to see if we can get some federal dollars to help us out?
Well, let me say, we can allocate federal dollars, and we've done that, and we'll continue to do it, and we do it in partnership. Now, we can't just create it on our own. Now, if the city or the county or members come to us with proposals, right now, we're taking community projects. We have allocated millions of dollars to not only the city, to the airport, because whenever there's a request, and I'm going to be in there making sure that that the dollars that we ask for that we get. Now, last year, 2024, we did not have, the Republicans decided we couldn't do the community projects. We are going forward, and we are receiving applications right now. We received one from the university doing a partnership with the city. We received one as well from the from the partnership that got 25 million from us last year. They want 10 more to work with partners. So yeah, we can do that. And we're interested in doing it, and I'm happy to do it. And whatever we can get some dollars to bring back, we call that what, bringing home the baby. We're gonna bring the baby here. I'm not gonna
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank y'all so much. Before I turn it over to Colette Forrest, this is a good crowd, and I want to make sure knowledge is power, and we don't want to have disinformation.
Hey folks, you were just looking at this transit town hall going on in Charlotte. It appears that we've lost our shot. Gonna pull up now the commencement at the University of Alabama, where President Donald Trump is expected to give the commencement speech. We'll take you to that feed now.
At the University of Alabama, education reaches beyond the classroom. It's a foundation for life, shaping your ability to think deeply, to lead with purpose, to engage the world with courage and conviction. Our hope for every graduate is not simply success, but significance as well. That you'll take what you've gained here and build something that is lasting. That you will live with intention, create positive change throughout your life with your actions, to leave the world a better place because of your presence in it. That you'll live with intention, that you'll create positive change through your actions. You've already proven your ability to rise above challenges, whether launching a career, pursuing graduate education, or finding ways to just serve your community. You leave here prepared to make a real impact in the world. And in time, through your character, your leadership, and your contributions, you may build something even greater, and that's a legacy. A legacy, a life, so that one could be called legendary. This evening is especially meaningful as we welcome the sitting President of the United States to our campus. His presence and willingness to share a message with you truly makes this an unforgettable occasion. A belief that anchors our mission at UA is that education and public service are linked, that the knowledge that you gain in our classrooms, like ours, will help shape policy, lead nations, change the world. This special ceremony offers a meaningful opportunity for you, for I, to reflect on the important connection between academic inquiry, civic leadership, and public service. Tonight, we come together to celebrate achievement. We ask everyone to help us create that atmosphere of support, respect, and pride for our graduates tonight. At UA, we uphold a proud tradition not shared by many large universities. We call the name of every graduate who walks across our stage. That's because we believe that each of you deserves that honor. Your name, your moment, the recognition of your hard work and your commitment. As part of our celebration, we invite you to watch a short video that honors the experience of graduating from the University of Alabama. And then I look forward to each of you having that moment at the commencement ceremonies tomorrow and Saturday, that opportunity that I'll have to shake each of your hands individually, to congratulate you in person, and to tell you, congratulations, job well done. Thank you.
What's in a name? Shakespeare asked in Romeo and Juliet. Names have meaning. They're unique to each person. And trust me, I know something about names. A few magical times a year, I have the privilege of saying thousands of names. Micah Linda Garrett, Top Bahadur Rawat Chetri, Elizabeth Page Tagg. Since becoming the voice of commencement in the 1990s, I've called the names of Heisman Trophy winners Bryce Christopher Young, Super Bowl champions Joseph W. Namath and Alabama icons. But I've also called the names of future doctors, lawyers.
All right, obviously we lost our shot at the transit meeting here in Charlotte, and we've been waiting for the president to speak at commencement at the University of Alabama. All while this is happening, we know there's a nationwide protest day going on for immigrants and worker rights. This one is happening in St. Paul, Minnesota at the state capitol. Thousands, it looks like, expected here. So let's go to this shot right now as this is happening in real time. All right, so not much to hear, but let me, as we are looking at this shot, we did have a rally in Washington, D.C. as well, asking for workers' rights in general to be protected. So an interesting day along with this May Day protest that we're seeing really across the United States as these protesters are rallying nationwide against the war, what they're saying, a war on working people. We lost that shot again. So maybe we'll go back to the commencement there at the University of Alabama. But again, go just a little bit more about this. Thousands of protesters expected here really across the United States. And Thursday, we've seen this not just in Washington, D.C., but that shot was in St. Paul, Minnesota. So it's a celebrated day across the globe as International Labor Day occurs on May 1st each year. So it's a year where activists in the U.S. aim to build on the momentum of recent widespread grassroots protests. So they're using that as an opportunity to today. So looks like the president is just about to come on the stage here at the University of Alabama for commencement. So we'll go back to this as this is happening in real time as well.
I'm Dr. Jim Dalton, Executive Vice President and Provost at the University of Alabama, and it's a privilege to continue this special celebration tonight. To our graduates, it's a meaningful moment to recognize all that you've accomplished, surrounded by those who have cheered you on and believed in you. We're very proud of you. Now, would everyone please stand for the presentation of the colors.
So as we wait for the president to speak here at the University of Alabama, I wanted to do some research to see how many sitting presidents have actually attended a commencement. And it looks like since Harry Truman took office in 1945, the start of commencement speeches has not happened very many times, but presidents have spoken at graduations of military academies 44 times, other public schools 54 times, and private schools 53 times. So this is something that some sitting presidents have done in the past. So again, they're displaying the colors, as you can see in this shot, the University of Alabama. Very interesting. This is so early in May, but University of Alabama having one of their commencements already. Now, going back in history, it looks like former President Obama had a speech at Howard. Jimmy Carter spoke at Cheyenne State College, and other presidents have spoken at HBCUs and Ivy Leagues over the last couple of decades. So a very interesting situation and event happening tonight here at the University of Alabama as we await the president's arrival on stage.
Thank you.
All right, still some time to kill here as they're getting things in place. It's been a very busy day for the president, obviously making his way from Washington to Alabama today for this. Looks like another person just about to speak, potentially the pledge here, so we'll go back to this.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lucy. Please remain standing as University of Alabama student Emily Welker, a performance major, leads us in the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please stop, sit down. There you go. Thank you, Emily. You may be seated. Before we move forward, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a very special group in attendance. We are proud to have members of the armed forces as part of our UA community. Your commitment to duty and sacrifice for others embody the very values we hope all graduates carry with them as they leave this campus: courage, service, and leadership. If you are a veteran or currently serving in the military, graduate or guest, please stand so we may thank you for your service to our great country. Thank you for your service. At this time, I'll invite Mr. Chad Tyndall, Chief Administrative Officer for the University of Alabama, to the podium. Mr. Tyndall.
Thank you, Dr. Dalton. Good evening. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. That's much better. Faith is such an important part of the lives of so many of our students at the University of Alabama. And whether that faith is Christian, Jewish, Muslim, or another, commencement is an especially great time to reflect on that faith, on our purpose and its meaning. I am pleased to welcome to the podium Dr. Wade Langer of UA Campus Ministries, who will offer tonight's invocation, reflecting on this moment and our futures.
On this day of great celebration, we give thanks. Now, please pause with me for a moment of silent reflection and gratitude. Almighty God, giver of life, source of knowledge, compassion, and goodness, we are grateful for the ways you have blessed these graduates, for the friendships that have held them, for the instructors who have mentored them, and for the lessons that expanded and shaped them the most. During their time here at the capstone, we trust they have been prepared for their future and will rise to whatever challenges may await them. Through your gracious power on this day, pour out your love and wisdom upon them and bring the work started in these graduates to completion. Give them strength to pursue the dreams you've instilled in their hearts. Equip them with compassion, with integrity and fairness, humility and respect. Grant them courage to step boldly from the simplicity and security of college life into a world in need, a world that aches for their gifts, their passion, their vision, and their hopeful idealism. Offer them humility in success, patience in uncertainty, hope in doubt, and peace in times of unrest. And as they go, using all the gifts you've given them, send them forth from this campus to do all the good they can, by all the means they can, in all the ways they can, in all the places they can, at all the times they can, to all the people they can, as long as they ever can, to remind the world that the worst things in life don't have to be the last things, that there is always, always a reason to hope. So on this day, we entrust these graduates to you. They are no longer ours, but yours. Put them to what you will. Place them with whom you will. And in whatever they do, let them be employed by you to bring about a truly great tomorrow. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Dr. Langer, for those words of hope. One of the greatest honors of working at the University of Alabama is witnessing the talent, determination, and heart of our students. Whether they're joining us from Flomaton or Florida, Washington or the Wiregrass, our students are truly the best. And none has shone brighter than the class of 2025. You have shown remarkable resilience, leadership, and pride in this university. You'll hear from a student who embodies all that and more tonight. It's my privilege to introduce the class of 2025 Student Government Association President Samad Gilani. Samad has been a strong voice for students and a reflection of what's possible when you lead with passion and purpose. Samad?
Good evening, everyone. To our families, friends, faculty, staff, and special guests, thank you for being here tonight to celebrate with us. Your support, encouragement, and care have brought us to this moment, and we do not take that for granted. We are grateful to the President of the United States for joining us this evening in selecting the University of Alabama as part of this historic visit to recognize the hard work and potential of our graduating class. And especially to my fellow graduates, congratulations. This weekend, we can truly say we made it. Commencement marks more than the end of our time at the University of Alabama. It marks the culmination of every step that brought us here. From the first time we set foot on this campus, to the night games in Bryant-Denny Stadium, the long hours in Gorgas, the victories, the challenges, and every moment in between that quietly shaped who we are today. This class, our class, has been through a lot. We've seen global uncertainty from a pandemic, rapid change in circumstances that forced us to grow in ways that we never expected. But through it all, we didn't just adapt, we evolved. We grew into leaders, thinkers, creators, advocates, and friends. And we didn't do it alone. As the 113th SGA president for the class of 2025, I've had the incredible privilege of watching your determination and resilience up close. I've watched students launch meaningful initiatives, advocate for their values, and extend a hand to help others rise. We each came to the University of Alabama from different walks of life, different hometowns, different stories, different dreams. The University of Alabama gave us the space to grow, to pursue our education, and to find community within our diversity. I've seen steady leadership, quiet support, and moments when we came together, not because we had to, but because we wanted to. I truly believe that this class represents what it means to lead with purpose. We've learned so much here, but maybe the most important thing is this. Leadership isn't about having the right title. It's about showing up. It's about listening. It's about being the kind of person who makes space for others to shine. And class of 2025, you have done that again and again and again. I also want to take a moment to recognize someone who has quietly shaped this experience for many of us, President Stuart Bell. Dr. Bell, your steady leadership, your humility, and your care for students have left a lasting mark on us all. Whether it be standing at this podium, visiting with students, or cheering us on from the sidelines, you have shown us what it looks like to lead with integrity. On behalf of all of us, thank you for believing in us, in our students, and for making UA a place where we have truly felt seen and supported. As we turn the page this weekend, we do so knowing that our story is still being written. And while it may feel like we're stepping into the unknown, I know we are more prepared than we realize from our time at the University of Alabama. We've learned to adapt, we've learned to lead, we've learned to care deeply and think critically. And now we take that into the world, not just to build our own futures, but to help shape a better future for others. And as proud graduates of this wonderful institution, it is also our duty to give back. Whether we stay in Alabama or take what we've learned elsewhere, we carry a responsibility to be good stewards of our education, to lift others, and to help ensure that the values we learned here ripple outwards. So, class of 2025, I challenge you. Wherever you go next, bring that fire, bring that curiosity, bring the pride that you feel tonight, and let it carry you through whatever comes next. Because this isn't just the end of something great, it's the beginning of something even greater. Congratulations, class of 2025. It's been an honor to walk this journey with you. Now, please turn your attention to the screens as we share a special senior tribute video honoring the class of 2025 and the friendships, memories, and milestones that have defined our time at the capstone. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go sit with my classmates for this one, and you know I can't end without one last Roll Tide.
The best way to describe my time here has been full circle. I think growing up as an Alabama fan with my parents going here and just coming to visit campus all the time, there's...
All right, we're still trying to kill some time as the president is expected to speak at some point here at the commencement. We did have a press conference from the transportation secretary ongoing about everything that's in terms of the investment, the infrastructure, and of course, the FAA, traffic controllers, and where the future leads for the FAA as a whole. Let's listen in.
Thank you for coming out today. I'm pleased to be here with the acting administrator of the FAA, Chris Rushlow, also with the president of the Air Traffic Controllers Union, Nick Daniels. NATCA, thank you both for being here with me. So there's been a lot of conversation recently about what's happening in America's airspace. And there are two components to the airspace. One is the infrastructure side. If you looked at the cabinet meeting yesterday, the president and I were talking about what do we do on infrastructure. We are going to have an announcement next week on our plan to build out a brand new air traffic control infrastructure system in the country, but that is not today. Because the second part of making sure our skies are safe and efficiently being used is what's happening with air traffic control. And in March, we announced an air traffic control supercharged system. How do we get more air traffic controllers to control our airspace? As many of you have reported, we're about 3,000 air traffic controllers short right now. Now, we do have enough controllers to control the airspace. There's a lot of overtime. As Nick will tell you, there's a lot of stress on the controllers. So we need more air traffic controllers to come into this profession. And so in March, we announced that we're increasing the salaries for those who are admitted into our academy, our Air Traffic Controller Academy. We increased their salaries by 30%. We also shaved off 5 months from the hiring process. It was taking way too long. If you applied to be an air traffic controller, it could take over a year before you got a seat in the academy, and a lot of young people would go find a different career instead of waiting so long for their spot into the academy. And so we were able to shorten that timeline. So if you applied, you were able to more quickly go through the process and get in to the Air Traffic Controller Academy. So we've streamlined that process by 5 months. And then we've also prioritized the best qualified controllers, or those who take the test, the entrance exam. Those who are best qualified got a higher preference to get into the academy. Right now, the washout rate is 35%. By taking in the best and the brightest on the entrance test, we're hoping that we'll be able to reduce that washout rate, get more young people through the academy, trained up, certified, and then in towers. So that's what we announced in March. And we now want to talk about the next phase of where we want to go with air traffic control. So today we're announcing that we are going to improve this pipeline for new hires into air traffic control. First off, the military. They train up a lot of air traffic controllers. We get a percentage of them that come in to civilian air traffic control. We have a plan to bring in more military air traffic controllers. I don't want them to go take a different job. I want them to come in and continue the skills that they've learned in the military, continue to use those skills in the civilian airspace. We have new opportunities for those military air traffic controllers. A better pathway into the system, and a better pathway to pick locations that work for them. So that's going to be important, bring in more military air traffic controllers. We're going to provide incentives. So not only do we pay 30% more for those students who go to the academy, when you graduate from the academy, right, and you pass it's basically like a bar exam, you pass your exit exam to go into a facility, we're going to give those new graduates a $5,000 bonus. Again, incentivizing them to stick through the process, go through graduation, and then start the work of becoming a certified air traffic controller. We also want to reward academy graduates that are going to go to harder to fill locations. So I don't want to give a hard time to Albuquerque, but a lot of people don't want to go to Albuquerque. I wouldn't mind going to Albuquerque, but if there's harder places to staff up, we're going to give bonuses to controllers that are willing to go to harder staffing locations. Albuquerque might be one. So again, if we can't staff up locations, we're going to give bonuses to those locations to get air traffic controllers to go there. But I think the most important part of this, again, this is the phase that says let's get more air traffic controllers, in the pipeline, get trained up and get certified. Well, it's going to take us time to do that. All of this is going to take time. But I thought, as I was thinking through this, I'm like, the key part of the solution is the current air traffic controllers that we have. We have many air traffic controllers. They're fantastic. They're great at their jobs. They get to an eligible point of retirement, and they take that retirement. And so as this team has thought about, well, if we need to get more controllers in our towers, why don't we try to incentivize those really well-experienced air traffic controllers? Let's incentivize them to stay. Let's get them to stay on. Not only do we have that experience, but they can also help train up those younger, newer controllers coming into their facility. And so I'm happy to announce that we have struck a deal with NATCA. They've been great partners through this process. And we are going to give a upfront substantial bonus for those controllers who are eligible to retire to actually stay on. And our hope is through this partnership with NADCA and also with our Supercharge efforts in the Academy, which, by the way, if anyone's watching this and you're young or you're a parent or a grandparent, Nick will tell you air traffic controllers make really good money. It's a great career. The controllers I've talked to have said, listen, it is stressful. It's a hard job. Really well skilled and qualified men and women do this job. But the controllers I've talked to, they love their job. They love their hours. They love the work they do. They love the effort that they put in actually helps keep Americans safe, keep planes safe, efficiently use our airspace. So if you're looking for a great job, paying you well over $100,000 very quickly into your certification, air traffic control is a great place. We're looking to hire as we go through this Supercharge. So take a look at that. If you will, if you're a young person or if you're a parent or a grandparent, talk to your kids about air traffic control. The Academy is about 4 months in training, and then you're out in a tower and you're making real money. So today, again, we are giving a bonus to keep on our experienced air traffic controllers who are eligible for retirement, and we are supercharging candidates into the Academy. And if you're sitting here reporting like Grady is, we're paying people more money, right? A lot of this is incentivizing through dollars. And as you saw the last administration, we had a lot of inflation. And these financial incentives, we've already seen the benefits of keeping people excited about coming into air traffic control into the Academy, and then graduating from the Academy and getting into towers. But also, it's important that our controllers who are about to retire, they can go take a second job. Our philosophy is, well, why not keep them in their current job and give them that bonus to stay? And I think we're going to see a real benefit to the airspace. And so, again, this is the phase of air traffic controllers. Next week, we're going to talk about the infrastructure on the airspace. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to a guy who has done just a fantastic job at the FAA. He's been a wonderful partner of mine. So knowledgeable, so insightful, and so important as we've negotiated and worked on this plan, the acting administrator of the FAA, Chris Rushall.
Thank you, sir. So thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Nick, for being here today, for the opportunity to talk about what we're doing to strengthen our workforce and ensure the safety of the American flying public. First, I want to again thank President Trump and Secretary Duffy for placing their trust in me to run the FAA at this time. I also want to thank Secretary Duffy for his strong leadership and for tackling this long-standing challenge. I'm grateful that he's made the FAA at the top of his list to make sure we get the resources and provide the safest, most efficient transportation aviation system in the world. Secretary Duffy knows we need more safety professionals to strengthen our ranks to keep aviation flying high. But I'm most grateful today for our FAA employees. Their work, day in and day out, supporting everything from aviation safety to airports to air traffic control and commercial space. It's their commitment to the mission and to the flying public that helps keep our skies safe. I'm immensely proud to work alongside these dedicated professionals. With the Secretary's help, we are taking quick and decisive action in solving the nation's air traffic controller shortage. We've reduced hiring bottlenecks, increased the salaries of those who graduate from the Academy, and prioritized those top-scoring Academy candidates to make sure we recruit and train the best and the brightest to join the FAA team. And by streamlining the hiring and cutting the red tape, we've shaved months, as the Secretary mentioned, off the old process. The Secretary's Supercharge hiring initiative is working. Less than 45 days after the recent announcement closed, one of the first applicants already has an Academy start date next month. The outstanding work by our team to accelerate this process is a clear sign that this administration is leading in a profound way to transform our aviation system. Today,
we're doubling down and offering new incentives for veteran military controllers, hiring more academy instructors, and offering extra help and innovative learning strategies for academy students. These efforts will get new air traffic controllers to the job much faster and keep our flying public safe. The work we do at the FAA isn't always easy, but it's vitally important to our nation. And again, I'm proud to work alongside such a dedicated and talented workforce. Together, we're building a stronger, safer, more efficient, and more innovative FAA. Thanks. Nick, turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Acting Administrator Rocheleau. And good morning. Today is an important step forward in addressing the ongoing staffing shortages across the National Airspace System. This new recruitment award and retention incentive program is not just a policy. This is a commitment to the dedicated men and women keeping our skies safe. It's a real, tangible move towards building and sustaining the workforce that America needs. We thank Secretary Duffy and Acting Administrator Rocheleau for their leadership in standing behind this profession. Their commitment to hiring, training, and then retaining the best and the brightest is exactly what this moment calls for. This is progress, but we know that staffing is one part of the bigger picture. Our air traffic control system also urgently needs technology upgrades and infrastructure improvements. These are long-standing challenges that we can no longer have delayed. The hardworking men and women who operate the United States aviation system deserve the most modern and most effective tools to ensure that they reduce risk and increase safety. Secretary Duffy has made it clear that tackling these issues is a top priority, and NACA stands ready to work with him, the Department of Transportation, the FAA, Congress, and all of the stakeholders to build a world-class aviation air traffic control system that the American people need and that the American people deserve. So thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
If you have any questions for us, we're happy to take questions now. Yes.
Yesterday, during the reconciliation process, the House Transportation Committee and its package included $12.5 billion for air traffic control upgrades that you envision, calling it a down payment. Is that $12.5 billion enough to fully fund your plan that's been under review at OMB, or are you going to request additional money from Congress?
Yes. So I appreciate the question. We're going to have a broader press conference next week on what that plan looks like, but Congressman Graves has been fantastic in his leadership, understanding the problems that we face, looking for resources available to help fund what is sorely needed. I mean, we're 25, 30 years behind the curve on building a brand new system. So again, we'll talk about that next week, but I just want to say I appreciate his work and effort in putting a focus on this critical need for American infrastructure.
Just to clarify, is this announcement today part of the plan that OMB has been reviewing, or is it totally separate?
This is the plan that we're talking about today. The increase in the bonus for air traffic controllers, the new money going to the academy, to the graduates. This is all money that we currently have in our budget. So OMB is looking at the plan. By the way, the announcement next week. I've already had a conversation, as you could tell yesterday, from the cabinet meeting. I've had a conversation with the president. I've laid out our ideas for a brand new air traffic control system, which, by the way, the president it's great to have leadership from the top. Before DCA, before he gave me this job, I've heard him for years talk about the problems within the American system and how he wants to fix it and again, keep it the best in the world. And so his leadership and support has been critical as we've gone through this process. And I think with his leadership as well, we're going to get the support that we need from Congress. Yeah.
Yeah, Will Geisman here referring. Yesterday during the cabinet meeting, President Trump said that he was specifically looking into awarding just one contractor to do all of that modernization on the infrastructure side. Curious if you could talk about if that's something that you guys are considering. Knowing that the agency in the past has said that it would take multiple companies, multiple technologies to do that work.
So again, we're going to have a press conference next week on this very issue. We're talking about air traffic controllers. Again, there's two parts to this. You need a system that is truly the envy of the world. It has to be rebuilt. But you also need great staff, well-trained, best and brightest staff in our towers controlling the airspace, which is what we're talking about today. But just I will make one quick comment. I think what the president was talking about is, if you think about construction, you might have a project manager or a general contractor. They don't do all the work. They have subs, those who have expertise in the different components of a construction project. I think he thinks about this project similar to many of the construction projects that he's been involved in. So, yes.
Pete Montine with CNN. It seems that the issues have been particularly acute for air traffic control at Newark. And on Monday, there were staffing issues and equipment issues. I just looked now, there's a 5-hour delay on average for flights going to Newark right now. They're calling out staffing and other equipment issues. Can you speak to the nature of the staffing issues? And can you talk about how the announcement today will get at that? And then also what needs to be done to fix the equipment there? What's the nature of the problem?
So there's a number of issues at play, and not surprised by your question. Maybe, Chris, do you want to take that?
Happy to. Thank you. And thanks, Pete, for the question. So clearly, this goes directly to what the Secretary is talking about and why we're here today. We're focused on the technology piece of this and the staffing piece. So both of those go together. And when we talk about Newark specifically and the outage or the interruption, we want to make sure that equipment is solid for the controllers that are coming to work every day so that they can depend on that equipment and making sure they're properly trained. Now, related to this specific incident, we have a team up there right now. They're doing an ongoing investigation in terms of the technology, the interruption itself. But again, at the end of the day, we need to make sure the controllers have the proper equipment and that they're obviously appropriately staffed.
And I would just note that when there's issues, you see delays, you see cancellations. Our airspace is safe because if there are issues, we don't fly. And that's why we can confidently say this is the safest mode of travel. But again, the disruption, canceled flights or delayed flights, people get angry, they get annoyed, they get frustrated, and rightfully so. But what I think you're seeing is you're starting to see cracks in the system, and you can see them in different locations. And it's our job, all of us working together, to not wait until there's a disaster. It's our job to actually see over the horizon what the issues are and fix it before there is an incident that we will seriously regret. And that's why we're here today, again, looking over the horizon.
How about for you to turn the ship around here quickly? Because I know some of the forecasts have been hiring 3,000 controllers could take 10, 15, 20 years.
So we're not so quickly in this space. This is not quick. But on the controller front, if this works as planned, I'm hopeful, and Nick and I, with Chris, we're hoping in 3 to 4 years we can get to full staffing, not 20 years. But again, it is a thoughtful, concerted effort to go, how do you make up the gap? And we can't snap our fingers to make up the numbers, but it's the thoughtful work that goes in to say, I'm happy that at this moment, this team thought about solutions. So in a year and a half, you're seeing real results. 3 years, you're hopefully seeing 4 years, you're seeing full staffing. And also, as we build this brand new system, you can't do that overnight as well. That's going to take time to do it methodically. We're going to learn as we go, probably with smaller facilities, not the larger facilities. And again, we're still flying planes, landing planes, controlling airspace. So, and again, it's the complication of this is probably one of the reasons why it was never done, right? And so, difficulty can't be our reason why we don't take action now. We pass it off to the next administration, because that would be a dereliction of duty. Grady?
For the incentives, how long do you expect them to stay in place?
For our retirement-eligible air traffic controllers?
That as well as the bonuses.
Listen, this is temporary. So do I see us needing this for 10 years? No. But for several years, yeah, I think we're going to incentivize these controllers to stay on. And again, it's a nice bump of money that they're going to get. In the academy, I think the structural changes that we're making there are going to allow us to, again, the washout rate is important. You might get, again, for example, in the last fiscal year, there was 1,800 students that went to the academy. There was a washout rate of 35%. So they only actually graduated 1,100 young people from the academy. So it's not just getting more butts in seats, right, and thinking about how you staff it. It's also making sure you get the best people, the best qualified, so you reduce that washout rate. So the net number increases dramatically out of the academy, in addition to NATCA bringing more of their people online to stay longer.
And then you just kind of touched on this, but obviously this is not a new problem. It's something that the previous administration was also trying to address. What do you think this administration is doing differently that could help you close the gap that they weren't able to do?
So what I mentioned, recognizing the problem and addressing the problem, not running from the problem, is key. And so on improving the timeline, again, if you're 24 years old and you want to be an air traffic controller and you don't hear back for a year and you can't get a slot for 2 years from the date at which you applied, you're almost guaranteed you're going to go do something else. You're going to find a different career. That we're able to streamline the time frame in which you apply to the time frame in which you get in to the academy. That is critical. And also what we've done is we are taking the best qualified. So those who score the best on the test. So if I have someone who scored 98 on the entrance exam compared to someone who scored 82, we're going to put the 98 into the academy, give them a seat before the 82 test score. And we think that's going to be key. One point I didn't mention, and this when I was at Oklahoma City, some of the students brought this up. They said, if you would help us with even some tutoring, if we need some extra assistance, if there's one component that we didn't get, if you could offer some assistance in tutoring, that would go a long way to making sure we're successful in staying in the program. And so that's part of this plan as well. It's like, do I have tutors in the library if you want to get some additional help on a portion of a class that you maybe didn't understand? Instead of just shrugging your shoulders and letting that student wash out, well, let's give them some extra support and see if we can save them and get them to graduate and get them to join Nick's union, right? Yeah.
Mr. Secretary, Tom Costello with NBC News, and I was with you at the Academy a few months ago. There's a mandatory retirement age for controllers of 56. Have you considered readdressing that, potentially raising that retirement age? But also, you said that we're starting to see cracks in the system as it relates to Newark Airport, and we're heading into a busy summer travel season. Are these cracks in the system going to be, manifesting themselves throughout the entire summer? And I would tell you, we also have heard that some of the problems at Newark also deal with controllers upset, and simply we're saying they're too stressed out to work. So how much do you have a morale problem at Newark and Philly because you moved control space down to Philly? But then in addition, are we seeing cracks in the system that will last all summer and could impact summer travel season?
Is that like one question with 6 parts?
It's all at once. We ask as many as we can.
Okay, yes, no, but on the first one is a really good question. So the mandatory retirement age is 56. I have the ability to grant an extension of that age if the controller gets a physical. But what you would note, and Nick was very astute to make this point to me, many of the controllers are retiring before the age of 56. So they can retire at, I think the average age is, if I'm right, 53, 52, somewhere in there. So we're out of the game at 56, which is why I've gone to Nick and said, how do we get those controllers at 52 and 53 and 54 to get them to stay on? What kind of incentive can I give them in the form of a bonus to continue on, and maybe they'll stay a year, another 2 years, and as they stay longer and we're able to train more, that's how we're gonna close this gap. And it's a patriotic move by the union and by the controllers. Our hope is that many of them will take us up on this and continue to serve the American people. In regard to to the controllers up in at Newark. Maybe I'll let, if Nick wants to address that, you can talk about it.
Yeah. You know, I think this is a pivotal moment of seeing what the stresses and pressures of this career path are. And that is being recognized by this administration. That's why we're eager to continue working together on it, is finding the solutions to these issues, and that is the need, as we spoke about, for modernization as well. Getting reliable equipment to the dedicated men and women that are frustrated when things aren't going right. But we do have to reduce capacity and ensure that we're managing the risk in the system in order to keep the levels of safety that the American people deserve. So yes, every day that we take another investment, that we find another way to go out and modernize this system, it is overdue, it's absolutely needed, and will put us in a position to ensure that your flight or departs on time, arrives on time, and is handled by the most professional workforce in the entire world.
And maybe just, one other point on that. What you're going to see next week is a massive swath of unions to industry supportive of what we want to do. If any of you who follow Congress, there isn't a whole lot of bipartisanship at this point in Congress. Listen, Democrats and Republicans, House members and senators, there's wide agreement that this has to be addressed. Again, there's always conversations about funding. That's for the Congress. We're laying out what we need to make sure this system is the best and continues to serve the American people. Yeah.
Dave Sherwoodson from Reuters. Two questions. I want to ask about DCA and New York City. So the major airlines have asked you to extend the slot waiver for the 2 years through 2027. Given staffing issues, are you going to do that? Sorry.
Do you want to answer that question?
Sure. I mean, I think the short answer to that is we have the request. We're working that within the department. Both, as you probably are aware, a piece of that has to do with the FAA and the Air Traffic Organization, specifically along with the department, the Office of Secretary of Transportation. So we're working through that. It certainly is being strongly considered, but I don't think we've come to a final decision on that.
And on stress at DCA, right? You replaced some of the managers there. There are some concerns about if the rate is too high, especially in the second half of the hour. There was a fist fight between two controllers. There was another incident recently involving a Delta plane that departed and came close to some Air Force jets that were doing a ceremonial flyover of Arlington. How have you addressed safety concerns at DCA, and what else do you need to do to make sure those controllers are not under too much stress?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So clearly, as you may remember, we took very quick action to make sure we reduce the complexity of that airspace immediately after the midair. And since that time, we've been working closely with the controllers, with management, not to mention the operators within the system, to ensure that we maintain that safety, that level of a safe approach, the clear airspace going forward. I personally have visited, Nick and I both went to DCA Tower to talk to the people, to talk to the management, to talk to the controllers, to understand what they're going through right now. And I believe we have a very strong plan in place as we consider, particularly operations right now and through the summer.
Just briefly, you just made some changes at Las Vegas Airport after your review showed safety concerns involving helicopters. Have you found any other concerns about helicopters at other airports or taken any other changes?
That's a great question because, as you are likely aware, we've had this ongoing review of airspace throughout the nation. It's very important that as we find these areas that we need to act quickly on, such as Las Vegas, we're taking that action immediately. We're not done with that by any stretch. We will continue to work through the system to identify those areas and ensure that we put mitigations in place where we identify those risks.
Yeah. And, I just wanted to highlight one of the points the acting administrator made there. You're seeing these different impacts at different airports because of our need to get to a modernization package, and as we've been talking here today about
all right, we're going to wrap the Transportation Secretary, of course, and the FAA as they are briefing individuals, or did earlier today. We've been waiting for the President of the United States to take the stage at commencement at Alabama University, and it seems like things are getting closer and closer. There's a lull in some of the action just about 5 minutes ago, but it seems like things are picking up. and the commencement itself moving forward. So we'll go back to this as it is happening right now.
But before they join us, I do want to take a final moment to say something from the heart, and that is thank you. Thank you for choosing Alabama. Thank you for your work, your energy, the late nights. Graduates, were there any late nights? Roll Tide. And the leadership that you have shown on this campus and beyond. You have made an impact. You've built a community. You have raised the standard, and tonight we celebrate with you, class of 2025. It's now my pleasure to introduce someone who needs no introduction to Alabama fans. Coach Nick Saban did Coach Nick Saban didn't just win championships, he built a culture of excellence that set a standard in college football and taught us all the power of teamwork, self-discipline, and unwavering focus on the process of getting better every day. He challenged our student athletes to be champions, not just on the field, but in the classroom and in life. Please show your appreciation for the legendary former coach of the Crimson Tide and one of the greatest coaches in history, Nick Saban.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Bell. And first off, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for your extraordinary leadership here at the University of Alabama over the last 10 years. You made the university better. You made me better. You helped us have a successful program because we always had the support that we needed. And leadership is all about serving other people. And Dr. Bell created a great example. He was somebody that we all could emulate. He helped others for their benefit, which is what service is all about. And, you know, his integrity, humility, and unwavering focus to the students here is something that is unprecedented. So I would like to get a round of applause for Dr. Bell for 10 years of tremendous service to the University of Alabama. You know, it's certainly an honor for me to be here and participate in this historic event, to be able to introduce President Trump, to address the graduates, you know, here today. So it's a special moment for me, but I got to be honest with you. You know, I feel like I'm the warm-up band for the Rolling Stones. And the first song they're going to play is Start Me Up. So, but really, to all the students here, I want to congratulate you on the hard work and commitment that you made to be able to graduate, create a future for yourself. But I want you to remember something. You know, you've created an opportunity to create a legacy now. And if you remember back in 2009 when we won our first national championship here, we had a celebration in the stadium, and I said, this is not the end, this is the beginning. And the reason I made that statement is I wanted our players and the people in the program and our supporters at the university to realize that we wanted to create a legacy of success. Well, that's what you have the opportunity to do now. You know, you're going to face new challenges. This is going to be a new beginning for you. New challenges, new horizons, new opportunities, new obstacles to overcome. And I'm sure the University of Alabama has provided a lot of resources for you to be ready to do that, and our faculty here has helped you prepare for what you need to do to have a successful legacy, you know, in the future. But I always tell people that you need to be very wise about the goals that you set. But more importantly, you got to define, what do I need to do to accomplish those goals? That's called the process. The very things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis to be able to accomplish the goals that you have. You need to define that for yourself. And then you have to have the discipline to execute it every day. And I'm talking about self-discipline, because we make hundreds of decisions every day that come down to two questions. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? On this hand, there's something you know you're not supposed to do, but you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it? If you can make those choices and decisions the right way, you'll be able to always make progress toward the goals and aspirations and things that you want to achieve. So making the right choices is very, very important. You know, when you embark on this journey, there's three things that I think always help me. First of all, have compassion for other people. Treat people like you would like to be treated. Treat people nicely on your way up. You might meet them on the way down. So it's nice to be important, but it's also more important to be nice. So that was the first thing, compassion for other people. The second thing is be responsible for your own self-determination. You got to earn it. Don't look at somebody else. Don't blame somebody else. You be responsible for your own self-determination and have accountability for what your job is and what you need to do. And the last thing is, it's not about beating the other guy. It's not about being better than somebody else. It's about you being the best that you can be. You know, we won 26 games when I played Pop Warner football in a row. Then we won 30-some in high school in a row, and it was never good enough. And I could never understand that. But my dad said, it's not about beating the other guy. It's about you being the best that you can be at whatever you choose to do. And I'm going to leave you with this. The first speech that I gave in 17 straight years here was I used to get the players to understand how important it was for them to be their best. As I paraphrased Martin Luther King's old street sweeper sermon. And he started out saying, there's only one guy in the green stamp store at Montgomery, Alabama that I'll let shine my shoes. Because the pride that guy has in shining shoes and the smile he gets on his face when you told him he did a good job. Then he goes on to say, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper in the world. Sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted a Sistine Chapel, like Shakespeare wrote literature. Let him put a sign up that says the best street sweeper in the world lives right here. And if you do that, you accomplish the best there is in life, knowing you did your best to be the best you be, no matter what you choose to do. So, from Terry and myself, Miss Terry and myself, we want to congratulate the 2025 graduating class of the University of Alabama and wish you the very best in the future. And before I introduce President Trump, I have to tell you a story. You know, you all know that we win a national championship, we get to go to the White House, and it's a great experience for our players and each and every year. When we won in 2017, President Trump was there in 2018, very gracious host, and he's the first president that invited us to come in the Oval Office. So I take the three captains in the Oval Office, and the president's really nice to everybody, and he's got this very big, good-looking, auspicious box on his desk that has a red button on top. And one of the players said, is that what you launch the missiles with? And he said, well, push it and find out. Player said, no, I don't want to do that. He said, oh, go ahead, push it, see what happens, find out. So Rashaan Evans finally got the guts up, went over, pushed the red button. Some lady came in with a Coke on a tray. So I really want to express my appreciation to President Trump for choosing the University of Alabama for his commencement address and making time to speak to our graduates. Now it is my distinct honor to introduce our next speaker. Please join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Coach. Wow, what a nice-looking group this is. What a beautiful group of people. And especially a very big hello to the University of Alabama. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. There are things that happen in life that are very important, and you always remember where you were when they happened. As a student at Alabama, you'll always remember where you were when your head coach, Nick Saban, retired. Remember that? Because he's done such a fantastic job. The last time I was here, and that's true with Nick, what a great coach. Let's bring him back. No, you have a good coach right now, though. You have a good coach right now. He was great. But the last time I was here, the Crimson Tide beat the Georgia Bulldogs 41 to 34. I was here. I got to watch it. That was some game. Today, it's my pleasure to return to this campus as the first president ever to deliver the keynote commencement address to this truly great American university. It's a great school. And there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Titletown, USA. That's what it's become. And I love this place. Maybe it's because I won Alabama by 45 points. Could that be the reason? 45? You know, the way they say, the polls have closed in Alabama. Trump has won Alabama immediately. It was very quick. It was very, very quick and nasty. That's what we like. They put all 7 of your commencement ceremonies, I don't know if you know this, but they put them all together first time ever, so I better do well, or I'm in big trouble. But I want to thank President Bell for his 10 years of distinguished service, highly respected gentleman, but 10 years of service to this great university, overseeing the education of 100,000 proud Alabama graduates. That's something to have on your record. I also want to thank Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, who's here with us, and she's a fantastic. Where is she? Where is she? She's around here someplace. She's here. I just took a picture. I said, you're doing a great job, along with the very wonderful man, a friend of mine, Senator Tommy Tuberville. Where's Tommy? Tommy's great. When he wanted to run for the Senate, I said, well, you beat Alabama 6 times in a row. How can you run for the Senate? He said, well, I just look at him and I say, well, I was responsible for them getting Nick Saban. I said, that's a good reason. And he won. Very easily he won. But I'll never forget that. Thanks also to a wonderful person, Representative Lisa McClain, a great person, great, highly respected. Gary Palmer, Robert Adderholt, Dale Strong, Ronnie Jackson, Ralph Norman, along with Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen, great people, Alabama Senate President Pro Tem Garland Gudger, Chancellor Sid Trant, and members of the University of Alabama Board of Trustees. But most importantly, and they would agree with this, let's give a big round of applause to your incredible parents, grandparents, and family members. Because they made this wonderful day possible. Oh, you're great. Without them, it doesn't happen. Without them, you probably aren't here, and you wouldn't have that big, beautiful smile on your faces. This year, the graduating Alabama class of 2025 has over 6,600 graduates. You're the largest class in school history. Among your ranks are among the 800 first-generation college students and nearly 3,000 students from right here in the great state of Alabama. Amazing. And this class also includes many Rhodes Scholars, Goldwater Scholars, 213 Merit Scholars, and over 1,500 students graduating with red caps. You know what that signifies? 4.0 GPA. That's a lot of students. That's a lot of students. That's pretty good. I know who I'd pick. I'd look for a red cap. I say, I want you to work for the beautiful Trump administration, this lovely administration. In addition, the class of 2025 has nearly 130 active duty service members, veterans, and members of the University of Alabama, ROTC. Thank you very much. Thank you. Everywhere you look, you can see the fierce spirit of this school, but nowhere more clearly than in your world-class athletics. There's nothing like it. Probably there's no school like it. That's why I would like to recognize the 11 graduating seniors on the University of Alabama football team. Where may they be? Where are they? You just have to look, and they're about a foot taller than everybody else. Oh, great. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Great season. Thank you. Thank you. Great season. There's something truly special about the players, coaches, and the fans who pack the stands at Bryant-Denny Stadium and proudly sing Dixieland Delight. We like that. Alabama has changed college football forever and inscribed into the history books the names of Bear Bryant, Joe Namath, 4 Heisman Trophy winners, and of course, the great Nick Saban. This place is truly where legends are made. It really is. It's a special place. When your president called, we talked about it. It took me about 2 seconds to say, I'll go. I wasn't looking to do it, and we are busy. You know, we're winning a lot of battles right now. We love winning, don't we love winning? We're winning a lot of battles. But I wanted to do this. For the University of Alabama, good isn't good enough, tough isn't tough enough, and great isn't great enough. The Crimson Tide does not rest, does not quit, and does not stop winning until it's all time. You know, it's all time. You're always winning, and you're going to keep winning. That's why the University of Alabama football team has won more games in the last decade than any college football team in America. That's not bad. And it's why last fall you beat Auburn for the 5th year in a row. That's not bad. That's not bad. The University of Alabama has a brand, and that brand is winning. That brand is winning. Great school. Last year, the Crimson Chaos watched the Tide Hoops make it to the Final Four for the first time ever. And this year, you built on your incredible record and returned to the Elite Eight. So not only is Alabama a great football school, it's now one of the nation's best basketball schools, and congratulations. And I love sports, and I think I should have come here. I think I should have come here. Congratulations as well to the women's track and field team for winning 2 SEC titles this year. That's something. As long as I'm president, we will always protect women's sports. Men will not play in women's sports. No way. They say that's an 80-20 issue. No, it's a 97-3 issue, I think. No, men will not be playing in women's sports. I said that, and I classified it with a very powerful executive order. As you know, it's done. The class of 2025 was the first to enter the halls of this university in the aftermath of COVID-19. Following a difficult senior year of high school, many of you came here to Tuscaloosa from around the country, and for the very first time, you experienced something called freedom. You had freedom. So let's give a big round of applause to the leaders of this state who chose liberty over lockdowns. They did a good job. Did a good job. As you know, there are a few campuses in the world more beautiful than this one, and there are a few memories sweeter than the ones you have formed really at this capstone and at the capstone. You'll miss the beautiful sounds of Denny chimes, the excitement of lining the Walk of Champions, the Saturday tailgates at the Quad. As you graduate, it's natural to reflect on 4 years of happy memories, and you've really had happy memories here. You've done a lot of winning. Winning is a good thing to do. But today I'm also asking you to look forward to really something very, very bright and more promising, and it's going to be an even more promising tomorrow, I promise you that. You're the first graduating class of the golden age of America. We're in the golden age. You watch. This is the golden age. This is the golden age. We've done things that nobody thought possible. 100 days yesterday, 100 days, and we've done things that nobody thought even possible. Like many generations before you, you're graduating at an exciting time for our nation, a period of both extraordinary change and incredible potential and what will be unbelievable growth. You're going to see that very soon. You're going to see it starting very, very soon. The whole world is talking about it. Our country has always been defined by its ability to reform and reinvent itself, to meet the challenges of the next era. The last 4 years were not good for our country, but don't let that scare you. It was an aberration. We're run by people who truly at that time, 4 years, we were run by people that didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue. I'm trying to be nice when I say it that way. They allowed our beautiful USA to be laughed at, scorned, and taken advantage of by everybody. We were ripped off on trade by nations all over the world, both friend and foe, and oftentimes a friend was far worse on trade than the foe. But those days are over. You're at the start of something very, very big. You're going to see that very soon. Now, exactly 250 years after the first Patriots stood and fought at Lexington and Concord, we're in the midst of another kind of revolution, a revolution of winning and a revolution of common sense. Common sense. Everywhere you look, broken systems, corrupt institutions, and tired dogmas are being swept away by the tide of history. Ancient wisdom is being rediscovered, and the best and strongest traits of America are coming back for all to see, bigger, better, and greater than ever. Coming back, and they're coming back fast. The spirit of our age is one of boldness, vigor, ambition, and adventure, and it's exciting to be you and young. Oh, I'd pay you a lot of money to have your age. You have a great future. The people have rejected the voices of a failed establishment. You saw that in the election. We've turned the page on endless wars, crippling debt, open borders, ruinous inflation, and the lack of respect for our country and for its leaders. But we're turning that all around, and we're turning it around very fast. We will very quickly make America great again. This week, we're celebrating the most successful first 100 days of any presidential administration in the history of our country, and we've been given a lot of credit for that, but 100 days does not a full term make. But we're going to do even better as we move along. In a matter of weeks, we've achieved the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. And you've seen it, hundreds of thousands of people pouring into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, from gangs, and all over the world, not just in South America. You'd see hundreds of thousands of people pour across in one day. You know what we had just recently? Three. And we slashed the number of illegal aliens released into the United States by 99.999%. And you know, if that number is wrong, the fake news, which is all over the place today, is going to be correcting me before I get to the next sentence. Now, 99.999%, how about that? Nobody thought that was possible. They said you needed legislation. No, you just needed a new president. That's what you needed. But despite the tremendous success, as you've been reading, the courts are trying to stop me from doing the job that I was elected to do. We won by millions of votes. We won all 7 swing states, 7 out of 7. We won 312 electoral college votes. They said, oh, 270 would be great. We won 312, and 2,750 counties versus 525 counties throughout the nation. That's why when you look at a map, it's all red. It's all red. Every inch of it is red, a little couple of blue dots. But they have to let us do the job that the voters want us to do. Judges are interfering, supposedly based on due process, but how can you give due process to people who came into our country illegally? They want to give them due process. I don't know. We've created 350,000 new jobs and brought core inflation down to its lowest level in many, many years. Energy is down. Look at your cost of energy, way down. Groceries are down. Even eggs are down. Remember I came in? Remember I was here a week and they started screaming at me, the fake news. Egg prices have doubled. I said, they just got here. I've been here for 4 days. I said, tell me about egg prices. They've doubled. Well, they didn't double under me. I just got there, and we did a great job. We brought down the cost of eggs. In fact, they said you won't have eggs for Easter. They wanted to we have a big Easter egg hunt at the White House. You saw it just take place. And they thought we should order thousands of plastic eggs. Plastic. I said, no, we'll do it. And we straightened out the egg situation very quickly. Our great Secretary of Agriculture did a fantastic job, and we had so many eggs we didn't know what the hell to do with them. And prices of eggs have gone down 87% since I took office. That's something, right? But the price of food has gone down, and mortgage rates are down, and gasoline prices just hit $1.88 a gallon in 3 states. Can you believe it? It was at $3.50. It was at $4. We're drilling. Oh, we're drilling. You know, drill, baby, drill, right? We drill, baby, drill. We do that. We got it down. We have it going good. And, you know, when energy drops that much, you don't have much inflation. It's hard to have inflation. It was just announced that in the first quarter, investments in the United States are up 22%, that we're leading the whole world in investment. Everybody's pouring into our country with big dollars. And it's all about November 5th, the November 5th election, and tariffs and incentives that we've given that are going to make this country so much richer. We have $36 trillion in debt. That's going to start to come off. It's going to come off rapidly, but we'll be over $8 trillion in investment, with Apple and others investing $500 billion each. We've never had a period of time in 2 months, because we're here for 3 months, a little bit more, but give me a break for the first month. You know, had to get a little acclimated. Had to see where the enemy lies, because they're already looking to impeach Trump. You know, these crazy people. Let's impeach him. For what? We don't know exactly, but we'll try it. These people are crazy. So we had to, you know, get our bearings for the first couple of weeks. So in 2 months, we had over $8 trillion, think of it, committed. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. There's never been anything like it in any country at any time, and it's all because they want to avoid the tariffs. We want to get here fast. And I said, you know, a number of times, tariff is the most beautiful word in the world, and I got absolutely decimated by the fake news. They said, what about love? What about your wife? What about your parents? What about religion and God? So I said, all right, it's the 5th nicest word I've ever seen. And since I've done that, I've been in good shape. Nobody's bothered me. They've been very nice. So it's the 5th most beautiful word I've ever heard. But it's making us very rich, and you'll be seeing the results pretty soon, sooner than most people think, because that's what other countries have been doing to us, just so you understand. They were tariffing the hell out of us. We couldn't sell cars in Europe. We couldn't sell cars in China. We couldn't sell cars in Japan or anywhere else. We couldn't do anything. And all we're doing is we're doing it to them, but we're doing it much better. And the U.S. military is suddenly seeing its best recruiting numbers ever. We've never had numbers like that. We now have waiting lists because there is such incredible spirit in our country. There's a great spirit. And just think, 6 months ago, and you remember, and it was embarrassing, before the election, 6 months ago, we were hearing and reading that numbers of those joining our military were at the worst levels ever. We've never had anything like it, right? You remember that? And now they're at the best levels ever. We have waiting lists to get into the military. We couldn't fill the positions, and that included in our police forces, our fire departments. We love our fire departments also. We can never forget our fire departments. But our police forces were begging for help. And now they're brimming over with people and applicants, and they're getting great ones. It's amazing what's taken place, and that's really the spirit. Each of the graduates in this arena will soon have the chance to help lead this project of national renewal. And that's what it is. It's a national renewal. We suffered so badly for 4 years. We had one of the greatest economies. We actually had the greatest economy in the history of our country during the first term of Trump. And then we got hit hard with inflation. During the Biden economy, it was horrible. We were hit so hard. The worst probably ever. They say 48 years. We'll accept that. But I would say ever. You'll embrace this moment, and you'll step forward with strength and grit, faith and patriotism to put America on a new trajectory for your children. And then you'll take your place among the greatest generations in the history of our country. I think you have a chance to be the greatest generation in the history of our country because we're turning it around, and you happen to be available. You're available. That's a good time to be available. There are some times when it's not so good to be available, but this is a great time. I'm absolutely confident that the Alabama class of 2025 is up to the task. Are you up to the task? You learned a lot about winning here at Alabama, and now we need you to help win for America. For the business majors here today, I challenge you not merely to use your talents for financial speculation, but to apply your great skills that you've learned and had to forging the steel and pouring the concrete of new American factories, plants, shipyards, and even cities which are going up for our country. Don't just build a strong portfolio, build a very, very strong America, and you're going to do that. To the engineers, brilliant you are, technicians, scientists, and math majors, we need your Alabama spirit and competition to keep our country at the forefront of every single domain. America should have the world's tallest buildings, design the fastest airplanes, build the greatest cars, do everything the absolute best, better than any other nation in the world, and you can do it. And we will soon land American astronauts on Mars. That will happen. That will happen. In every field you have studied, there are problems to be solved and breakthroughs to be made. To the journalism majors, of which I've had a lot of problems with. So I must be honest. I'm not sure I like them. No, I do. But you're really leading a very thing because we need a great and free press. We need a brilliant press. They're like a watchkeeper. They're very important, and you can go out and take it down a new track, help save the country. So important. Your task is so important, and it's to build a media that Americans can trust. And remember, the people of this country, they know the truth when they hear it. That's why the ratings, the approval numbers of the media are so low. We need those ratings to be 100%. We have to be able to trust our media. I say you have to have that. You need strong, strong borders, and you need really free, fair, clean elections. You need those things, but the media is a big part of it. In the world of health and medicine, there is an exciting new movement to get poisons out of our food supply, keep toxins out of our government. Clean out our environment and make America healthy again. And I think Bobby's going to do a great job, don't you? I think so. I think he's the guy we needed. And in government, it is the task of your generation to replace bureaucracy, graft, and waste with a new system that defends American freedom. These are big tasks before you, but the reward for your hard work will be the United States of America is stronger, prouder, better, and more unified than ever, ever, ever before. It's going to be. As you embark on this great adventure, let me share some of the biggest lessons I've learned from a lifetime spent building dreams and beating the odds. I beat a lot of odds. A lot of odds. A lot of people said, I don't know. But it worked out okay. Where are we? Oh, gee, I'm president. How did that happen? Now, you're going to be in the same position. But some of the would you like to hear some of the ideas, or should I just skip over that part, huh? That's going to be more interesting than all the other stuff, which was slightly political, right? I'm going to give it to you, though, just as I see it and as I've learned it, the hard way and the easy way. First, if you're here today and think that you're too young to do something great, let me tell you that you are wrong. You're not too young. You can have great success at a very young age. You're all very young. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. I was 28 when I took my first big gamble to develop a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, the Grand Hyatt, and it worked out incredibly well. But I was very young at the time. I was like a very young person in sort of an old person business. Steve Jobs was 21 when he founded Apple. Walt Disney was 21 when he founded Disney. James Madison, James Monroe, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. They were no older than 25 when they began the journeys that etched their names into the history books for all time. So to everyone here today, don't waste your youth. Go out and fight right from the beginning, from the day you leave this incredible university. Go out and fight tough, fight fair, but go out and fight. You're going to be very successful, because now is the time to work harder than you have ever worked before. Push yourself further than you have ever pushed yourself before. Find your limits and then smash through everything. Go and smash through. You've watched that football team smash through. You're going to do the same thing. You're at the age when you have the time and vitality to do really incredible things. If you just give it your all. You'll look back, and a decade from now, you'll be astounded by what you've achieved. You'll remember this day. You'll remember when the guy named Trump.
All right, nearing the end of our stream here in just about 30 seconds as the president continues his commencement speech at the University of Alabama, speaking about a number of different things, but really about the future that these students will be heading into in the next couple of days, if not already. So interesting stuff here from the president. We did also have, and we'll have more tonight on 11 o'clock on the transit meeting that Charlotte council members had and the mayor who spoke on the 1 cent sales tax. We'll see you tonight at 11.